Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Valsa Williams and with me is Abhijit Loreng with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi appeals to countrymen to strengthen India in the battle against corruption. India and US hold third bilateral 2+2 ministerial dialogue in New Delhi today and sign landmark Defence Pact BECA. Prime Minister speaks to beneficiaries of PM Swanidhi scheme from Uttar Pradesh, says past digital implementation of government schemes playing a significant role to boost economy. In Bihar, 71 assembly constituencies go to polls tomorrow in the first phase amid tight security. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 90.62%. And in IPL cricket, Sunrisers Hyderabad clash with Delhi Capitals in Dubai. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that administrative processes have to be transparent, responsible, accountable and answerable to the people for development, inaugurating the 3-day-long National Conference on Vigilance and Anti-Corruption this evening on the theme Vigilant India, Prosperous India. Mr. Modi said over the years India has moved ahead with zero-tolerance approach on corruption. He said be it corruption, economic offences, drugs, money laundering or terrorism and terror funding, these are all related to each other. The Prime Minister said we have to jointly work against corruption with systemic checks, effective audits and capacity building and training. He said fighting corruption is not the job of a single agency but is a collective responsibility.
भ्रष्टाचार केवल कुछ रुपयों की ही बात नहीं होती। एक तरफ भ्रष्टाचार से देश के विकास को ठेस पहुंचती है तो साथ ही भ्रष्टाचार सामाजिक संतुलन को तहस नहस कर देता है और सबसे अहम देश की व्यवस्था पर जो भरोसा होना चाहिए, एक अपनेपन का जो भाव होना चाहिए, भ्रष्टाचार उस भरोसे पर हमला करता है और इसलिए भ्रष्टाचार का डटकर मुकाबला करना सिर्फ एक संस्था का दायित्व नहीं बल्कि इससे निपटना एक कलेक्टिव रिस्पांसिबिलिटी है.
The Prime Minister said today it can be said with pride that the country has left the era of scams behind. He said now the poor are directly getting 100% benefit through direct benefit transfer DBT. Mr. Modi said due to DBT alone, more than 1,70,000 crore rupees are being saved from going into wrong hands. The Prime Minister said efforts are being made to make citizens' life easier.
सरकार की जहां जितनी जरूरत है उतनी ही होनी चाहिए. लोग सरकार का दबाव भी महसूस न करें और उन्हें सरकार का अभाव भी महसूस न हो. इसलिए बीते वर्षों में 1,500 से ज्यादा कानून खत्म किए गए हैं. अनेकों नियमों को सरल किया गया है. अब दूसरों के पास चक्कर नहीं लगाना पड़ता, घंटों तक लंबी लंबी लाइनों में नहीं लगना पड़ता. अब यही काम करने के लिए उसके पास डिजिटल विकल्प मौजूद है.
The Prime Minister appeals to countrymen to continue to strengthen India in the battle against corruption. Minister for Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, Dr. Jitendra Singh, also addressed the inaugural session. The Central Bureau of Investigation organizes this national conference coinciding with Vigilance Awareness Week, which is observed in India every year from the 27th of October to the 2nd of November. Activities in this conference would be focused on vigilance issues aimed at raising awareness and reaffirming India's commitment to promotion of integrity and probity in public life through citizens' participation. The participants of the conference include heads of anti-corruption bureaus, vigilance bureaus, economic offence wings or CID from states and UTs, CVOs, CBI officials and representatives from various central agencies.
India and US today held the third bilateral 2+2 ministerial dialogue in New Delhi and signed the landmark Defence Pact, the Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement, BECA. The signing of BECA is significant as it allows India to use global geospatial maps of the United States for accuracy of standoff weapons like cruise and ballistic missiles. From the Indian side, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar led the delegation. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Secretary of Defense Mark Esper led the U.S. delegation. India and US signed 5 agreements in total. In the press statement after the meeting, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said signing of BECA is a significant achievement.
I deeply appreciate your commitment to our bilateral relations. During the meeting today, we have had comprehensive discussions on key aspects of our bilateral and multilateral cooperation. Signing the BECA today, after signing the LEMOA in 2016 and COMCASA in 2018, is a significant achievement in that direction. In today's meeting, we also explored probable capacity building and other joint cooperation activities in third countries, including our neighborhood and beyond.
The Defence Minister said India and US shared assessment of the security situation across the Indo-Pacific.
We reaffirm our commitment to peace, stability and prosperity of all countries in the region. We also agreed that upholding the rules-based international order, respecting the rule of law and freedom of navigation in the international seas, and upholding the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of all states are essential. Our defense cooperation is intended to further these objectives. We appreciate the visit of Secretary Pompeo and Secretary Esper to India. We had a very constructive dialogue and will continue to work together to strengthen our engagement in defense, security and other areas.
In his statement, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said the Indo-Pacific region was the particular focus of the talks.
The Indo-Pacific region was a particular focus of our talks. We reiterated the importance of peace, stability and prosperity for all countries in this region. A multipolar world must have a multipolar Asia as its basis. Discussions also covered developments in our neighboring countries. We made clear that cross-border terrorism is completely unacceptable. On Afghanistan, India's stakes in its security and stability are evident, as is our willingness to contribute to international efforts to that end.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said U.S. will stand with India as the country confronts threat to its sovereignty and liberty.
Thanks to Prime Minister Modi and President Trump's leadership and our shared values, our ties are growing stronger day by day. This morning, we visited the National War Memorial to honor the brave men and women of the Indian Armed Forces who have sacrificed for the world's largest democracy, including 20 that were killed by the PLA forces in the Galwan Valley in June. The United States will stand with the people of India as they confront threats to their sovereignty and to their liberty.
Secretary Pompeo said U.S. and India are taking steps to strengthen cooperation against all manner of threats and not just those posed by the Chinese Communist Party. He also said U.S. continues to support India's permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. U.S. Secretary of State Mike R. Pompeo and Secretary of Defense Dr. Mark T. Esper called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi today. They conveyed greetings from U.S. President Donald Trump to the Prime Minister. Recalling the successful visit of President Trump to India in February this year, the Prime Minister warmly reciprocated the greetings. The secretaries briefed the Prime Minister on their bilateral meetings and the fruitful and productive third India-US 2+2 dialogue held earlier today. The Prime Minister appreciated the successful conclusion of the third 2+2 dialogue. Expressing his satisfaction about the multifaceted growth in the bilateral comprehensive global strategic partnership in recent years, he emphasized on the strong foundation of trust, shared values and robust people-to-people ties between the two countries.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today urged the people of the country not to become lenient about precautions related to corona during the festive season and said with strict adherence to social distancing, we will be able to defeat the deadly virus. He was speaking to the beneficiaries of PM Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, PM Swanidhi scheme in Uttar Pradesh. Mr. Modi said many government schemes like Jan Dhan, Ayushman, Ujjwala and PM Swanidhi have helped the people of the country to fight the corona pandemic in a better way, and we showed the world that people of the country can face any challenge and turn the situation around. He said that banks are now reaching the poor in the country, and it is the result of the continuous work of the government. Speaking about the PM Swanidhi scheme, Mr. Modi said such a scheme for street vendors was introduced for the first time after independence in the country.
योजनाओं में ये गति देश पहली बार देख रहा है। गरीबों के लिए घोषणाएं इतनी जल्दी प्रभावी तरीके से जमीन पर उतरेगी, ये भूतकाल को देखते हुए कोई कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकता था। स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स के लिए बिना गारंटी के किफायती ऋण के लिए इस तरह की योजना तो आजादी के बाद पहली बार बनी है। आज देश आपके साथ खड़ा है, आपके श्रम का सम्मान कर रहा है। आज देश सामाजिक ताने बाने में, आत्मनिर्भर भारत में, उस अभियान में आपके योगदान को भी पहचान रहा है।
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi appeals to the countrymen to strengthen India in the battle against corruption. India and US hold third bilateral 2+2 ministerial dialogue in New Delhi today and signed landmark Defence Pact Becker. Prime Minister speaks to the beneficiaries of PM Swanidhi scheme from Uttar Pradesh, says fast digital implementation of the government schemes playing a significant role in boosting the economy. In Bihar, 71 assembly constituencies go to polls tomorrow in the first phase amid tight security. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 90.62%, and in IPL cricket, Sunrisers Hyderabad clash with Delhi Capitals in Dubai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alert.
अरे भाई, सुना तुमने? अरे इस मुश्किल समय में सरकार ने हम कामगारों की मदद के लिए एक और बड़ा कदम उठाया है।
कौन सा कदम?
पात्रता के नियमों में छूट के साथ ESIC ने अटल बीमित व्यक्ति कल्याण योजना के तहत मिलने वाली राहत राशि को बढ़ाकर दुगना कर दिया है। हाँ,
अच्छा, पात्रता की शर्तों को पूरा करने वाले जरूरतमंद बीमित व्यक्ति राहत के लिए ऑनलाइन दावा www.esic.in पर करें। अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपने नजदीकी ESIC शाखा कार्यालय से संपर्क करें या फिर टोल फ्री नंबर 1800-112526 पर कॉल करें।
Welcome back. In Bihar, elaborate security arrangements have been made to ensure free and fair polls in the first phase of state assembly elections tomorrow. 71 constituencies spread over 16 districts will go to polls in this phase. Over 2.14 crore electorates will decide the fate of 1,066 candidates. 114 women and 406 independent candidates are in the fray. Voting will be held from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Chief Electoral Officer H.R. Srinivas said out of 71 constituencies, 35 are in Naxal-affected areas where voting will be held in a staggered manner. Polling will be held up to 3 p.m. in 4 Naxal-affected constituencies of Chainpur, Nabinagar, Kutumba and Rafiganj, while in other 5 Naxal-affected constituencies, polling will take place up to 5 p.m. In the remaining 26 Naxal-affected constituencies, voting will be held up to 4 p.m. Additional Chief Electoral Officer Sanjay Kumar Singh told AIR News that security forces have been deployed in Naxal-infested areas to ensure trouble-free polling.
सभी बूथों पर, जिनकी संख्या 31,700 के आसपास है, सभी पर अर्धसैनिक बल तैनात रहेंगे। उनके अलावा स्टेट पुलिस भी है और 3 लेयर की पेट्रोलिंग है। 5 बूथों पर एक पेट्रोलिंग मजिस्ट्रेट की पेट्रोलिंग है, कई लेयर की पेट्रोलिंग है, कंट्रोल रूम है, हम लोग एरियल सर्विलांस भी रखेंगे।
This election is the first in the country amid the COVID pandemic situation. Now we go live to our correspondent KK Lal, who is in Gaya, to cover the polling. KK Lal, what are the polling arrangements there in view of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Hello. Walsa, keeping in mind the corona situation, Election Commission has issued guidelines to be followed during the polling. Every person has been instructed to wear mask during election-related activities. Thermal screening of all persons will be carried out and sanitizers will be made available at all locations during polling. All polling booths have been sanitized. In view of COVID, only 1,000 voters will exercise their franchise at each booth instead of 1,500.
Right. Please tell us who the prominent candidates are in the first phase of assembly elections.
Political fortune of 8 cabinet ministers, Prem Kumar, Ram Narayan Mandal, Jai Kumar Singh, Krishnandan Verma, Shailesh Kumar, Santosh Kumar Nirala, Vijay Kumar Sinha and Brij Kishore Bin will be decided in this phase. Former Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi is contesting from Imamganj Assembly constituency as NDA candidate. RJD has seated former Speaker of Bihar Legislative Assembly Uday Narayan Chaudhary against Mr. Manjhi. Walsa.
Right. Thank you, K.K. Lal, for the update. From the NDA, BJP is contesting on 29 seats, JDU on 35 and Hindustani Awam Morcha on 6 seats in this phase. The Vikashsheel Insan Party has fielded one candidate. Among the Grand Alliance partners, RJD is contesting on 42 seats, while the Congress has fielded 21 candidates and 8 CPI-ML candidates are in the fray. Besides, LJP has fielded 42 candidates, while RLSP on 43 and BSP on 27 seats. 3-phase elections are being held for the 243-member Bihar Assembly. 71 Assembly constituencies go to polls in the first phase, polls tomorrow, 94 seats in the second phase on 3rd November and 78 seats in the third phase on 7th November. Counting of votes will take place on November the 10th.
Senior BJP leader and Union Minister Prakash Javadekar today said NDA is giving account of every penny of PM's package of 1.25 lakh crore rupees for Bihar. Mr. Javadekar was addressing a press conference in Patna which was organized to elaborate about 11 resolutions of party poll manifesto. He said there is nothing to hide about the works of the PM package. Mr. Javadekar added that several development mega projects like national highways and railway bridges were completed. The minister added the Narendra Modi-led government has its accountability towards poor, so it has ensured that poor people can reap 100% benefit from it. In Karnataka, all the necessary polling arrangements for the 4 seats of State Legislative Council tomorrow are in place. The mustering centres in Karnataka South and West Graduates constituencies and Bangalore Teachers and Northeast Teachers constituencies handed over election-related materials to the polling personnel today. More from a correspondent.
Due to COVID pandemic, the polling personnel were given masks, gloves, sanitizers this time along with the ballot and VVPAT units. There are 234,718 voters eligible to cast their franchise in 549 polling stations to elect among 27 candidates. The agencies enforcing the model code of conduct in these 4 constituencies have seized over 148 IML liquor, 65,899 cash, 1 car and 9 bikes and filed 57 FIRs for the poll-related violations. The state election office has set up counting centers in Dharwad, Gulbarga and Bengaluru. The counting of votes will be on November 2nd. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
The COVID-19 recovered cases in the country have crossed 72 lakh and the recovery rate stands at 90.62% today. Briefing media in New Delhi, Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan said India's cases per million population is among the lowest in the world, which stands at 5,758, while the global average is 5,504.
देश में जो रिकवर्ड केसेस हैं वो 72 लाख से भी अधिक हो गए हैं, जो विश्व की सबसे बड़ी संख्या है रिकवर्ड केसेस की। साथ ही हमने देश में 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा टेस्ट कर लिए हैं। हमारा जो रिकवरी रेट है वो 90% से अधिक हो गया है और जो क्यूमुलेटिव पॉजिटिविटी रेट है उसकी डिक्लाइन वो लगातार बनी हुई है। देश में क्यूमुलेटिव पॉजिटिविटी रेट 7.61% है। भारत में सबसे कम केसेस प्रति मिलियन पॉपुलेशन के हैं। 5,700 प्रति मिलियन। अनेक देश ऐसे हैं जो कि भारत से दुगने या 5 गुने तक उनकी संख्या है केसेस प्रति मिलियन की।
Mr. Bhushan said India's deaths per million population is also among the lowest in the world at 86 deaths per million population. He said the national recovery rate is continuously increasing and has further grown to 90.62% today. The Health Secretary stressed that this is a satisfactory sign that within 13 days the recoveries have increased from 60 lakh to 70 lakh and now have crossed 72 lakhs. He said there is continuous decline in case fatality rate in the country and today CFR stands at 1.50%. Mr. Bhushan said since the past 5 weeks there is continuous decline in average of daily new deaths reported from COVID-19. He said Maharashtra, Kerala and Karnataka have contributed the maximum to the active cases. Member Health in Niti Aayog Dr. V.K. Paul said even countries of much greater economic capability per capita income and good health system can succumb to a huge second peak is a lesson for all of us. He said we are very fortunate that our trend is in the opposite direction.
The Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai today said that the doubling rate of COVID-19 cases in all the 24 administrative wards in the island city has gone above 100 days. Whereas the overall doubling rate of COVID-19 cases in Mumbai has gone up to 139 days. A report.
Aiming to achieve Mission Zero, the MCGM is finding success in bending the curve of COVID-19, with all its administrative wards now able to slow down the doubling rate of the infectious disease beyond 100 days. The F North ward has stood as an exception in slowing down the doubling rate to 296 days. Besides, in other 4 wards, the doubling rate has gone up to 175 days. Maharashtra Medical Education Minister Amit Deshmukh today urged the private medical colleges not to hike the fees for the current academic year. He said it will be inappropriate on the part of the dental as well as medical colleges to put the burden of fee hike on students in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
Karnataka Health and Medical Education Minister Dr. K. Sudhakar met the officials of AstraZeneca company in Bengaluru today to inquire about the progress achieved by them in the trial of COVID vaccine. Speaking to media persons later, the minister said that AstraZeneca, Serum Institute of Pune and Oxford University have successfully conducted the first-level human trials and will conduct second and third-level trials on 1,600 people. Dr. Sudhakar has informed that in the first phase of the human trials, it was found that antibodies were produced within 28 days of administering the vaccine. He said that a technical committee will be formed in collaboration with the Union Health Ministry to discuss the distribution of vaccines.
The government has extended the guidelines for reopening of activities issued on the 30th of last month till the end of November this year. The Union Home Ministry in its order issued today informed about the extension and reiterated that the resumption of normal activities does not mean an end of the pandemic. It cautioned everyone and urged citizens to strictly adhere to the COVID-appropriate behavior. The government has been releasing guidelines towards gradual reopening of activities since its first order on lockdown measures issued in the month of March this year. More from our correspondent.
In its reopening guidelines issued last month, which has been further extended till the end of November, government allowed reopening of cinema halls and theatres at 50% of their capacity. It also allowed usage of swimming pools for training purposes, exhibition halls for business-to-business functions, and congregations in closed and open spaces with strict observance of the SOPs for the same. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had launched Jan Andolan for COVID-appropriate behaviour on 8th of this month, wherein he urged citizens to wear masks, clean hands and maintain safe distance of at least 6 feet. The Home Ministry has already advised states and union territories to promote these norms extensively at the grassroots level. Keeping in view of the same, the national directives will still remain in place. Government has also informed that the lockdown will continue to be strictly implemented in the containment zones till end of November. Anand Chaturvedi, AIR News, Delhi.
This is All India Radio giving you the news.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today greeted all ranks of the courageous infantry on the special occasion of Infantry Day. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said India is proud of the role played by the infantry in protecting the nation. He said their bravery continues to motivate millions.
Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla today said that BRICS countries need to intensify the collective fight against terrorism, which poses the biggest threat to humankind. Virtually addressing the meeting of the 6th BRICS Parliamentary Forum, Mr. Birla said, as people's representatives, parliamentarians can no longer be silent bystanders and they must unite to fight the challenges of terrorism and violent extremism. The Supreme Court has ordered that the Allahabad High Court will monitor the ongoing investigation into the Hathras gang rape case. The order came on a PIL filed by a social activist demanding a court monitoring of the case. The Apex Court also said all aspects of the investigation will be examined by the Allahabad High Court. At present, the case rests with the Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI.
The News Services Division of All India Radio in its bilingual live phone-in program tonight will bring you a special discussion on COVID-19. Dr. Ghanshyam Pangte, Professor of Medicine at Lady Hardinge Medical College, will participate in the discussion. Listeners can ask questions to the expert on toll-free telephone number 1800115767. One can also ask questions on telephone number 011-2331-4444 and post queries on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. In IPL cricket, Sunrisers Hyderabad were 202 for 2 in 18 overs against Delhi Capitals in Dubai a short while ago. Earlier, Delhi won the toss and opted to bowl. Hyderabad will have to win this contest to keep their hopes alive of a place in the last four, while Delhi need only one more win to book their berth in the playoffs. In the points table, Mumbai Indians, Delhi Capitals and Royal Challengers Bangalore have 14 points each from 11 matches played so far, and Kings 11 Punjab and Kolkata Knight Riders have 12 points each from 12 matches. In tomorrow's fixture, Mumbai Indians will take on Royal Challengers Bangalore in Abu Dhabi tomorrow. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will experience mist. Temperature will hover between 13 and 32 degrees Celsius. In Mumbai, sky will be partly cloudy. Lower level of temperature in the metropolis will be 26 degrees. Upper level will be around 31. Chennai will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature will oscillate between 25 and 32 degrees. Kolkata is expected to have a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature in the metropolis will be 24 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 32. Jammu and Srinagar cities will have a mainly clear sky. In Jammu, minimum temperature will be 12 degrees, while maximum 31. In Srinagar, minimum temperature will be 0 degrees Celsius, maximum will be 21. Leh will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature will be minus 4 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be nearly 12 degrees. Gilgit will witness a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening, with temperature moving from 3 to 24 degrees. In Muzaffarabad, lower limit of temperature will be 10 degrees, while upper limit will be 28 degrees. The sky will be mainly clear. In Dehradun, temperature will hover between 12 and 30 degrees Celsius. Mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Chandigarh is likely to witness mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature will be 14 degrees. In Guwahati, fog or mist would occur in early morning. And now before we close, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi appeals to countrymen to strengthen India in the battle against corruption. India and the US hold third bilateral 2+2 ministerial dialogue in New Delhi today and sign landmark defence pact BECA. Prime Minister speaks to beneficiaries of PM Swanidhi scheme from Uttar Pradesh, says fast digital implementation of the government schemes playing a significant role to boost economy. In Bihar, 71 assembly constituencies go to polls tomorrow in the first phase amid tight security. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 90.62%. And in IPL cricket, Sunrisers Hyderabad clash with Delhi Capitals in Dubai. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.